Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Dallas Daily Show. It's my favorite time of the week. It's the Midweek MindSHIFT, and every now and again, I get to have a guest in studio with me today. I'm really excited about this guest. It is Virginia Muzquiz. She is one of my business mentors. She helped me up my game when it came to business mindset and referral marketing, network marketing, all of that. And she is the Director of Marketing and Development for B&I Mid-America, but I know her as the Referral Diva, and she is the owner and CEO of Master Connectors. We're going to talk a little bit about that, but Virginia, my friend, hi. Welcome to the pod.
Hi, Dallas. It's like you and I haven't seen each other for hours.
That's right. Earlier today, we did a LinkedIn Live, a Facebook Live together, and we've talked already twice today.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's good.
So I will probably get into your story a little bit, but let's just jump right in.
All right.
To specifically what you do with Master Connectors, because part of the game here that I think people need to do is reframe what they know as far as building their business. Yeah. A lot of the listeners of this show are entrepreneurs, coaches, consultants, creatives, the solopreneurs.
Yeah.
And one of the big games that you changed in my world was how to build my business by referral. So let's talk about that and some of the mindset stuff that people have about maybe mistakes people make in referral marketing. We'll get into your story.
There's so many.
I know, but I want to start us out with a good old slap on the face.
Just a good old slap on the face. All right. The first thing that I'm going to say is that most people are trying to use tactics that are meant for scale to build and grow. So there's a start, there's a build and grow, there's a scale. Mm-hmm. And so what I see with so many solopreneurs, particularly that are coming into the coaching space, the consulting space, the service provider space, is, they're like, oh, I got to make a lead magnet, and then I'm going to build a funnel, and then I'm going to pay for some ads, and maybe I'll do some giveaways. And they get into all of this online digital stuff before they've actually created an offer that is proven, that sells, that really people are wanting to buy. And the big problem with that is that all the digital marketing tactics rely on proof of concept. Mm-hmm. So if you're going to throw a lead magnet out there in a giveaway, do you even know that people want what's in the lead magnet? Does the lead magnet convert? Does it lead to a program that you can actually sell because people actually want to buy it, et cetera, et cetera? And so they're just getting in over their head. They're really diving off of the high dive before they even know how to float on their back. And I think that for me right now, that I think is the biggest mistake that they're making. And I wouldn't have said that when you and I met, right? Because all of that other stuff was for, Brendan Burchard and Steve Olsher and Alex Mondosian. It wasn't for us. It wasn't for the simple one or, business owner with a VA or an admin or whatever. It really was for the big guys. And COVID democratized all of it.
Well, that's an interesting way to say that. And I know the way I say it is a lot of people that I see entering into the game of this space, service providers, they really are seduced by the glitz, the glamour, and the acceleration of the digital marketing bros. And so they think, I need all this.
Yeah.
And it's a struggle.
And it's a huge struggle, right? Yeah. Because look, if we just use a surfing metaphor, right? So you're watching somebody surf those gorgeous big, beautiful waves, and they're like, and they're just like, they look like they're floating, and it looks like they're not straining. It's not strenuous for them. Yeah, go ahead. So then you're like, I'm going to go do that. So you buy all the equipment, and then you paddle out there and you drown.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big part of it. And where what I teach comes in is, for the startup entrepreneur, which, let me be clear, I've really realized this is not my super favorite market, but I can help if people have lots of experience and an extraordinary amount of self-efficacy. I can get them there, right?
Sure.
But I think really it comes down to, until you've got a network that has proven your offer for you, that's willing to go take a hitter on it, right? Like, I just put out a new lead magnet, and I got 5 people that were super close to me, and I was like, "Hey, are you willing to take a dive on this one? Like, because I don't know if it's going to convert or not." And they were like, "Yeah, sure, no problem," and it did.
Yeah.
A lot of people wanted it. But it didn't convert into the product. So I'm like back to the drawing board. But for the average entrepreneur that's making $3,000 a month or $5,000 a month or $6,000 a month, you don't have that kind of time to be like, dang, didn't work. Back to the drawing board.
Right.
I have the absolute blessing and convenience of having a coaching business that's already doing $10,000, $12,000, $20,000 a month. I've got the BNI franchise, which is moving well into 7 figures. I'm a co-owner of the pet salon that we're doing the $1 million expansion. I mean, I just have a lot of blessings in my life. I don't have a bazillion dollars in debt, and I've worked really hard to get there. But what I'm coaching people on is how to get there.
Yeah.
From the messy middle.
Yep.
To the place of peace. Right?
And when you and I first met, so we met at a networking event in St. Louis.
In the messy middle.
In the messy middle. Well, and I
lied. I was a mess.
You were a mess. I was still out the starting gate. Mm-hmm. And so I was doing networking all wrong.
Right.
And so we will talk here in just a second about building a business by referrals and building that referral network relationship marketing. But how we clicked was
Are you depressed?
Yeah, that was basically
me too.
Virginia asked me, she was like, "Hey, what do you do?" And I was like, "Well, I coach this group," and I said my pitch, but I also host a podcast called Defeating Depression, which was the one I was. It's funny, by the way. I just realized the other day, Defeating Depression podcast, DDP, and now I have the Dallas Daily podcast, DDP, and I was like, I didn't even have to change the moniker.
Right,
that's perfect. It worked out.
Right, the monogram just all
worked. But then that came up where we just immediately started talking about depression, mental health, and I think there might have been maybe 20, 25 other people at that networking event, and we didn't talk to any of them.
I didn't talk to any of them. Well, that's mostly because all of them were networking so wrong that remember there was a guy there. I won't even bring it up. Do you remember the guy?
My gosh.
Oh, God. Oh. I was like, number 1, I don't know what you do. Number 2, no, thank you. And I said, no, thank you. No, really, no, thank you. And dude, he followed me around so much that I actually closed down the meetup.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't shake it, and they just would not go away, and they wouldn't get with the program. So I was like, okay, this has inspired me to not have a networking event until like you disappear from my awareness.
So I saw him at 3 other networking events over the course of I don't think I ever told
not
you.
recently. Please say not recently. Okay.
I don't even know if he's in the game anymore.
I doubt it.
But I saw him at 3 other networking events soon after I met you, and every one of those he was driving hard to the hoop on everybody. And I actually finally took him aside.
Did you?
I did, and I go, "Hey man, just so you know, nobody's buying.
Nobody likes you."
No, I just said nobody's buying at these. You're doing this the wrong way, and that was from a single conversation with you that I realized you're not here to sell.
Correct.
And so so we talked about this idea that most people are using tactics to scale when they should be in that proof of concept, and really just like dial in your message, dial in your product, your program, and as I always say to people, dial in the customer experience.
The customer experience, absolutely.
Because if people love working with you, they're going to tell other people about you.
Oh, yeah.
And if you're a referral partner, Taylor, we should not be mumbling on a podcast, but we are.
But we are. It's what we do.
So this idea of not just they might be trying to build from the wrong point of view.
Yeah.
But also talk to us a little bit about actual referral networking, making sure your network works for you, work in the network. Talk to us about that, because some of this might be new terminology to the listener.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing that I tell people is, number 1, you want to make sure you understand the difference between a sales funnel and a referral funnel, and they are not the same thing. So sales funnel is all about your ideal client. And, I used to teach tribe, right? And I don't teach that anymore.
Yeah.
I teach audience and avatar, because audience is sort of like all the fish.
Yeah.
So I want to fish for trout, all the trout. But do I want all the trout? I don't want the 2-inch trout. Right. I want the big, huge,
good
size,
good trout.
The big trout. I
want a rainbow trout.
I want right? Right. There's a specific one that I want. The other ones I'm going to throw back.
You used the example of the one fish I know.
The one fish you know.
I could have been like, a wild caught salmon. Like, what does it say?
I got nothing
at the grocery
store? I got
store?
nothing about fish. I can't even figure out where to find them when I try to use that metaphor.
I'm so glad this is the metaphor we're using then.
But anyway, but the point is if I know more or less what the audience is, then I know where to go, because I can know where I want to. All right, my audience is real estate agents. Well, I can find them. They hang out in ponds called like the Association of Realtors, right? They hang out.
What about mortgage people? Like neighborhood loans?
Right, like neighborhood loans.
Right, there we go.
All right, we got it in.
Boom.
So, you can know where where that audience is hanging out.
Yeah.
Inside that, you want to understand your avatar, which is who do you really want to do business with? Who's aligned with you? What's the right volume? What's the right, when you're thinking about something like mortgage or thinking about real estate, there's lots of real estate agents that are doing 2 transactions a year. Maybe that's the person that you want to do business with.
Right.
But in BNI, for example, I want somebody who's doing 2 transactions a month,
right,
and now is in the problem of they want to bring on a buying team. So they're doing the buying and the listing. They want to be just the listing agent, bring in the buyer's agents, and we try to help them scale through that process, right? So I know which real estate agents I want to be talking with, and that way I'm not talking with all the real estate agents. I'm just speaking with who I want. And inside the sales funnel, my audience are my suspects. Ooh, look, they're all mortgage lenders. They're all real estate agents. Then I want to think about, okay, what is the problem I solve? Who is my prospect? Do they have the problem I solve? Yeah. Wait a minute. Do they know they have a problem? Do they want to have a conversation? Are they open to that? So now I have to have questions, leading questions that bring that in, and then I can invite people to a conversation. And so on the side of networking for clients, which there's nothing wrong with that. Okay. Sure. That's called direct prospecting and cold calling. Yeah. Now, if you do it on the phone, no one can spit on you or slap you. If you do it in person, you might
get a few coffees,
whatever. But it's a crapshoot. You just don't know. But the idea here is that when you're networking for clients, you need to be in a room full of your audience, your suspects, and then start having conversations and asking good questions like, hey, what challenges are you seeing in the industry these days? Sure. So you're doing something vague, and then you're saying, and how are you dealing with that? How is that impacting you? Yeah. And so you're being curious to find out, do they have the problem that you solve? So you can say, well, that's something I've actually helped 17,000 people with. I don't know if that's, I've got a freebie for you or whatever, if you'd like it. And then you leave it, because then they can opt in or opt out. So that's on the selling side. But the problem is that's where most entrepreneurs leave it. Like when I was in Mary Kay, it's hilarious. I used to go to the mall and hand out perfume samples to get clients. I would stalk women. The perfume shop. I would stalk women in Macy's and Dillard's and whatever. I would stalk people. Yeah. And ask them if they would try a lipstick or try whatever. And and Victor would say, "Where are you going?" And I'd have my little bag and I'd be like, "I'm going out to warm chatter."
Warm
chattering.
Oh, there you
warm
go.
chatter. So cold call in person essentially.
Yeah.
So that's cool, but people don't respond well to it. Nobody really enjoyed me stalking them in Macy's because they weren't there for that. Right. So on the other side is the referral challenge. So there are 2 kinds of referrals that come to us. The referrals that come to us from satisfied clients. Mm-hmm. The problem with that is 89% of satisfied clients say they would refer, but only 23% of them actually do refer.
Well, hold on. That math didn't work in my brain.
The math didn't math, right?
You just unmathed me.
I unmathed you. It basically means 1 in 5 satisfied clients might send someone your way, but they're not proactive about it. The reason that they send someone your way is this: they worked with Dallas, and suddenly they went from stuttering and falling all over themselves and blushing and sweating when they're on stage to confidently owning the space and speaking a message that's just like resonating with everybody. And they say, "Oh my gosh, what happened?" Right. And I worked with Dallas. Right. They're not really referring you. They're name dropping. Right. And then the person says, ooh, will you introduce me? So it isn't until someone is begging them to introduce them to the service provider that anything happens, right?
And I just need to clarify really quickly here for my audience. You can name drop me all you want. That's totally fine.
There you go. Dallas.
And you don't even have to use the last name. You can just say Dallas. That usually works for people.
Dallas. Yeah.
All right. So that's kind of the first part of it.
Yeah. So that's the first part of it. The first part of the referral thing. And clients. so when you're trying to grow your business by referral, that only works if you have 0% attrition.
Sure.
Because if only 1 in 5 people, 1 in 6 people are going to ever bring you one client ever in the history of their time with you. Yeah. that's not a recipe for growth or scale.
Sure.
That's that's whipped cream on the top of the sundae. That's not the crux of it. So what I teach people how to do is to figure out who knows their ideal client, and then can they equip that person to be a volunteer salesperson for you, so that you can call them and say, Dallas, guess what? I have a live event coming up May 28th through May 30th.
Right.
Shameless plug. And I'd love to fill the room.
Right.
I'd love to fill the room. Who do you know right now that is aching for more referrals, but just can't seem to get traction? Because that's what that entire event is all about. Yeah. So I can send out an army of volunteers who will bring 3, 5, 7 people to the room intentionally on purpose, because we sit down and we talk about that. And so I think let
me insert here really quickly. That event, just FYI, everybody, that is on the show notes below for you. So you can click that and you can find out more about that 3-day event. It is happening at the end of May. But I can tell you, I sat through one of those. And in that year, when I adopted the system I learned in that room in those 3 days, I 3x'd my income on my business in 1 year, just from that one event. So I'm gonna plug that Get Connected Live really hard here, because it transformed the way I built my business that next 12 months. Yeah. And it's still the system I use to grow referral relationships.
Yeah, and we renamed it. Did I tell you? We renamed it to Referrals on Demand Live.
I like it better.
Yeah, which is the brand, right? I own that, and thank you, ChatGPT, because
you are a brand expert.
Yeah, it took me. I know, and I was like, "What do you think of this name?" And they were like, "This name does not work for your brand. Here are 10 reasons why." And
Referrals
really,
on Demand Live. That link is below.
It's
cheap plug. There we go.
Cheap plug. There you go. But the idea is, we're always running around trying to meet new people. But what about the people we've already met?
Right.
And 2 things. 1, am I meeting them intentionally? Are they the people that I want to be meeting? Or am I just collecting business cards, sticking them in my bag of shame and never following up?
Stack of shame right there.
Stack of shame.
I handed somebody a bag of my business cards and said, I just need all the data. We've worked with Daniel.
Do you know he has his little fake bag of shame that he holds up on webinars and stuff?
Yeah.
So the idea here is, you've got to have partners. Yeah. And referral partners are like strategic alliance partners. They are joint venture partners. They share resources, network, knowledge. I mean, there have been times when you've been like, I need coaching, and I'm like, I need editing.
Right.
So it isn't necessarily only.
It's not just
about I give you a referral, you give me a referral.
Right.
You give me a referral, I give you money. I was talking with somebody today. I'm gonna be in a movie. Did I tell you?
Oh, no, fun.
I'm going to be in a movie. Yeah. So I was talking with the producer today, and she said, "Oh, I just want to give you this program, and it starts on May 5th, blah, blah, blah." And I was like, "Well, yeah, that's okay. How much is it?" And she's like, "No, I just want to give it to you because you're just awesome." And I was like, "Okay, I'm just awesome." And then I thought, "Oh, well, it'll be a bank, right?" Now she's got, so I'll let her bank. So I'm doing 2-column favor accounting. Like, sure. I'm like, okay, well, there's going to be an offset here at some point. And how can I offset? So we got done talking about all of that. And I said, well, how can I offset? And she said, well, what do you mean? And I said, well, there's got to be something you need for this event that you're putting on. Yeah. And she said, well, we're going to start working on sponsorships. And I said, oh, that's so cute. Give me all the sponsor stuff and I'll find you a couple. Yeah. And then she was like, but then what am I going to do for you? And I said, oh, this is going to be a great relationship, because it isn't about It is about clients. It is about the referrals, but it's about other things as well. It's about, in this case, sisters propping up sisters and creating those relationships that down the road lead to revenue. They lead to visibility. They lead to credibility. They lead to influence and impact and those sorts of things. And so that I think is important.
Visibility, credibility, and influence and impact. Mm-hmm. That's huge. That's huge.
Yeah, because income follows.
Income follows that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to ask more about that, but I have to give some spot to neighborhood loans and to the Shed Fat Fast program. So we're going to hop into that a little bit, and we're going to actually talk about how to qualify some of your referral partners, because not all referral partners are created equal.
Amen.
And so we're going to talk about that with Virginia in just a few moments. This is all part of the Mind Shift, but first, let's hear a word from our sponsors. If you are a business professional and you're looking to lose 25 to 50 pounds of that stubborn belly fat over the next 90 days, I want to tell you about one of the programs from our sponsors, the Shed Fat Fast program with Joel Staley. Joel has helped over 1,500 clients lose all of that fat, get in the best shape of their life, and he does it with a proprietary fasting protocol that's guaranteed to get you results without giving up the food that you love. I know it works because I'm in the program right now, and I'm telling you, this thing is getting me results. I know it can get you results as well. He's got a free training for you. Go to shedfatfast.com. That's shedfatfast.com. Check out his free training. And when you call in, be sure and mention that you heard about it from the Dallas Daily Show. Hey, everybody. I just want to give a quick shout out to our studio sponsor here at Neighborhood Loans Studio in St. Louis, Missouri. If you're in the market for a new home, look no further. Their 5-star team is excellent. They can help you get what you need. And I can personally connect you with their team, or you can check out their website, neighborhoodloans.com. Again, that's neighborhoodloans.com, or feel free to call them 314-658-9400. Again, that's 314-658-9400. And even though the studio's located here in St. Louis, Missouri, they can service you nationwide. So trust me when I say you are in the best hands with Neighborhood Loans. All right, we are still chatting with one of my, not just mentors, but one of my BFFs, honestly.
Yeah, honestly.
Honestly, like we get along and we gab so well. But let's talk about this idea that not all, credibility, influence, and eventually income follows. Yeah. But not all referral partners are created equal, and it's okay.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that concept.
So I'm going to start off by saying most of the time, the assumption that we make when someone hands us a business card or says, "Oh, I could introduce you," or whatever, is that they actually mean it.
So many stories just went through your head there of bad moments in history.
I know, and you just so asked me not to cuss like a sailor on your show, so I had to take a breath.
We can probably bleep one or two.
Well, no, it's okay. I'm gonna be a good girl. So one of my mentors, Hazel Walker, she is a B&I executive director in Indiana and also in Canada, one time said to me, "Virginia, when are you going to realize that people are never what they say and always what they do?" And that moment was a mind shift for me, right? That was an absolute, I was like, what? And she said, yeah, you make assumptions about what people are going to do based on what they say.
Yeah.
And what you really want to do is watch what they do and expect nothing more and nothing less.
Yeah.
And when I started creating my coaching program and my process, I started thinking, okay, well, what is it that people do?
Yeah.
What is it that people do? So the first thing people do is they exchange business cards and they have an awareness of one another. Yeah. And I call that an acquaintance. So if we're at the acquaintance level, I see you at the chamber luncheon once a month. Hey, how are you? Oh my God, let's catch up. What's going on? Okay, now I want to talk about myself because I was just preparing to speak about myself while you were speaking. Yeah. So you were kind of speaking at me, but I was waiting for my turn to speak at you. Yeah. And they were like, "We really should get together." Yes. Yes. Okay, great. Well, call me.
Right.
Okay. And that's an acquaintance level relationship, and it doesn't really ever go anywhere.
Yeah.
But if you're expecting to get a referral from that, you're going to be sorely disappointed.
Sure.
Now, if you actually get somebody, you land somebody on your calendar and you can actually have a cup of coffee with them and you can get to understand their business and know what their goals are and know about them deeply, you can become an associate. Now, let's talk about that moment.
Sure.
Because I think that we stay way too surface with people from the get-go.
Yeah.
And so if I really, really want to establish some sort of rapport with you, I want to know what's important to you. I want to know what's important to you about your family. How long have you been in this business? Why did you choose this business? What do you love about this business? And sometimes people are like, I don't love this at all. Right. And then that tells me I might not want to be a referral partner with them, right? Because they're not doing something that they love. I can love them and I can support them and help them, but maybe I don't, if they're not in love with what they're doing, maybe I don't want to do that. So, but I want to find out about people, and I don't want to have just surface conversations at that level. The next thing is, okay, now I've talked to you. Do you have the capacity to give me any sort of visibility? Do you have audiences that I can speak in front of? Do you have networks that I can step into? Are you going places that I don't typically go?
Right.
Can you make me visible? Can you share my free ebook? Can you put me on your podcast, etc.? Okay, so what I call those advocates, those are people that are shouting you out. They're using their voice to tell people you are good,
right,
and people should listen to you.
Platform you in some way.
Yes.
Whatever their way of platforming you is.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
that's a great way to put it.
Have to speak to your same clientele. At that level.
At that level, no.
It's still a little bit broader, because once you get into the higher levels of relationship, you want a little more focused partnership of like, hey, we serve the same group.
Right. Well, I think at the advocate level, you're at least looking for audience.
Okay.
You're at least looking for audience. So if, for example, this is a great podcast, but if you told me like, yeah, my audience is 100% corporate CEOs making $3 million or more a year, I'd be like, that's great, Dallas.
That's a waste of my time.
Right? I love you, man, but I'd rather take that hour and have a drink, go take a walk, take the kids to go play, whatever.
Hang at the botanical gardens.
Hang out at the botanical gardens. Yes. So I would rather use my time differently. So I have to be judicious about how I'm spending my time and what the relationship is. Once we get past that, we start thinking, okay, is this a connected person? Is this a person who maybe doesn't really jive with my audience, doesn't have a lot of my audience on their platform, but they know people that have platforms that inspire my audience.
Yeah.
And those people I call ambassadors. They are the ones that are finding you the people who have the platforms.
Yeah.
So once you get past that level, then you're talking about your allied level. And that's where you are. That's where like Jenny Bellinger is.
Right.
These are people that can knowingly speak to others about what you do. And in fact, here's how I know that I have allies in all of this, right? Because when I got sick, who ran my business?
Right.
It was not me. It was actually my allies just stepped in, coached, ran my business. They knew my business just about as well as I did, and could step in a pinch and help me out, help me fill rooms, help me keep my business going, even though I was dramatically incapacitated.
Yeah.
And so
I remember one time you, I don't know, a few months ago now, you called me and you said, hey, I've got someone that's basically ready to sign, but can you help close the gig? And I was like, yeah, have him call me.
Yeah.
And I talked to him for about 20-ish minutes, and I said, whatever she tells you to sign, go sign it. Because it was like, I'm closing for Virginia now.
Yeah.
And that's an ally play for
That's
you.
an ally play. Absolutely. Not only about finding the right people, but these are the people that can speak knowledgeably. And in my case, one of the things that's so super important for me is that have you used this process at all to be successful at all in your own business? So, I just did a referral incubator workshop, and Joe Apfelbaum with Evie AI was my partner.
Yeah.
And it was really interesting because he's super busy. He's running a multi-7-figure digital agency and building this AI platform. And he said, a day. And I said, yeah, Joe, a day. And he said, okay, for you, I'm going to do a day. Right. And when we got done,
if it were anybody else,
I'd say no, right?
Yeah.
But he spent the day, and since we've known each other for 3 years now, and liked each other just fine. We've been raving fan associates.
Yeah.
Okay. Advocate-y, sort of.
Sure.
Right? Like we comment on each other's LinkedIn, whatever, but not anything intentional or serious. Since February, when we spent the referral incubator workshop together, I've sent him 7 clients and he's sent me 3 clients.
That's awesome.
Right? So we have a plan, and more he understands what I do. And I'm also more inspired to dig deeper in, like I have his platform. I bought his platform because that's the first thing you do, right? You're like, oh, you want to be referral partners? Let me whip out my card. Here you go. Yes, I'll buy your thing, right? That because you've got to know what your referral partner's doing. And so I bought it, and now I'm inspired to dig more deeply because one, my audience is, I've got 7 people that are using it. So who do they call first? They don't call Joe. They're like, how do you use this thing?
How do I use this tool?
crud, I don't know. But I'm more than inspired.
AI at Joe's.
AI at Joe's, right?
Like the Eat at Joe's side.
Yeah,
AI
right.
at
At Joe's. He's brilliant, right? He's
frighteningly intelligent.
yes.
The few conversations I've had with him, I walk away just feeling like a moron.
He's
I'm like,
just-
I'm decently intelligent.
Right.
And this guy is like, you're playing chess and I'm barely playing checkers with AI.
And then he's got this heart of gold. So when you talk to him, even
Yeah.
though he is smart enough to make you feel like a moron,
Yeah.
you walk away feeling like the most connected human in the whole
most
wide
connected
world.
Moron.
Yes.
You feel like the best moron.
best moron, the
Joe,
beloved
you
moron.
Me feel like an amazing moron.
You're like a beloved moron. I'm a beloved moron.
You
No.
know what? We need to just clip this just for Joe to
Just
have
for
as a
Joe.
testimonial. Joe, you've made me feel like an amazingly smart moron.
But it is. I mean, it is a superpower. Is that big heart of his?
Yeah.
If only he would talk a little slower. I have to tell you a
That's
really
true.
funny story. Somebody purchased the platform and was like, I need you to refund my money because you talk so fast and I can't understand you. And
That's hilarious.
And so Joe goes, I'm going to hire somebody who talks slower, and went out and hired somebody.
Oh, really?
Who is a slow talker. He's like, that was a really good information for me that I'm actually losing users because
Sure.
they can buy it, but buying it once doesn't serve him much because he
All
needs
has
them to
do is
renew.
turn on the speed thing on his videos for people to be able to toggle it to half speed.
Half speed is still too fast.
That's
Have
true.
you tried Joe on half
No,
speed?
he's a very fast talker.
He is. But what I loved about it, just because while we're having a Joe Applebaum Love Fest, because this is yet a mind shift.
Yeah.
Okay. So here we have a client who's saying, I'm dissatisfied, and I'm for random reasons. They're just like excuse after excuse.
Sure.
And Joe literally went out and hired someone
Yeah.
that would just to serve this client, because what he figured was, if one person is telling me this,
Yeah.
how many people are having this challenge?
Yeah.
And I don't need people to get on the platform. I need people to stay on the platform.
Right.
So if I need people to stay on the platform, what is this person telling me about my customer experience
Yep.
where I'm finding friction, and I can fix the friction? So that's a mind shift, right?
Yeah.
Like you could take it as a criticism. You could be like, "Oh, write it off." You could be
That's
dismissive. Oh, well,
Yeah.
But Joe isn't like that. And I think that for me, that moment for me, which happened very recently, greatly informed how I'm thinking about my own customer experience. Where am I the point of friction in my business, and how can I fix it? It's why I hired Liz. Right? Because people keep saying, I need people to hold my hand and walk me through. And I was like,
That is not Virginia's strength.
nobody holds my hand. Who holds my hand,
Who held
Dallas?
my hand
Who
to get here?
Who helped me? Who helped me? Nobody helped me. Help yourself. So I hired sweet, loving, caring Liz, and a lot of my clients think that they could care less about me. They're like, Liz,
Right.
and that for me
All
is
your Google reviews mention Joe and Liz. You're like, what happened to Virginia?
it's cool. Like Virginia's
Virginia's empowerment team.
Yes, Virginia's team is awesome. What leader doesn't want to hear that?
Absolutely.
Right? What leader doesn't want to hear that they're being eclipsed by their team?
I just heard that about Michelle, who's my exec assist. She has taken over most of my world for me. And someone just recently said, Michelle's the best. And I was like, so much better than me.
So much. But that's the beauty of finally getting to that place. And to your point, right? When you first started with the program, you were not even in the messy middle. You were in the grind, right? You were
testing out the
you were
stuff.
trying to figure out how to make it work.
Yeah.
And then you moved sort of into the messy middle.
Right.
Okay. And then you just kept using the system, because it's not a how, it's a who. It's who, not how. Great book, by the way. And so you start thinking about, who? And then you figure out the how, but you talk to the who about the how.
Yeah.
Okay, I want this. How do we make it work? I want this. How do we make it work?
Right.
And that's how you get past the messy middle.
Yeah.
But it's all the people. People take you through the messy middle. No lead magnet, no AI tool, no platform. Nothing is going to get you through the messy middle except your people.
I just had this conversation with someone recently who she was flustered by, and I think you probably know who I'm talking about, flustered by the technology and I need a CRM and I've got these and I need this and just all the stuff that wasn't working. And I said, You don't need any of that. And I explained to her, I said, I got to my first 6 figures with Google Contacts and Google Drive and a Google survey form.
Right?
I said, I didn't have a funnel that worked because I tried them and they didn't work. And I was like, I just need to simplify, which I think is one of the biggest issues. I need to simplify, streamline it so that I can actually see if it works. And if it works, then we can scale beyond that.
And listen, love, if you are putting all of your contacts into a Google workbook and you have your columns labeled, when you're ready, you do this.
Click.
Export.
Yep.
Import. It's 2 clicks of a button.
Right.
And look, I have the slowest internet known to man, so it might take 40 minutes. Here in this lovely studio,
Right.
it would take 2 minutes to do it.
Right.
So I tell everybody all the time, they're like, yeah, but I need all these automations. I said, do them by hand. Do them by hand.
Yeah.
Check your every morning, wake up, check your Google Sheet, send an email.
And even the referral system that I implemented that you taught me, it was on Google Calendar.
Yeah.
It was like, hey, this person I'm supposed to reach back out to.
Put it
every
out
8
as a
weeks.
task.
And I set it as recurring as a task. And people are like, man, you're so good at following up. I'm like, I'm not. I handed it off to tools that were better than me.
Yep.
And that I didn't have to think about it.
All you got to do is put a 1 hour, a 90-minute block on the calendar that says follow up, and then in your task or even in the notes section, here's the people to follow up with.
Right.
Right. So if I do all of my contacts for my referral partners on Thursday afternoons from 3 to 4:30, then it's a recurring event.
Right.
And then in the notes section, I'm like, 2 months from now, I got to call Dallas. Just put it in the notes section.
And I want to be very clear on something with that too. It doesn't mean that it's not personal. It doesn't mean that you're just on the machine, everybody. And
Right.
if you're a referral partner of mine, it is my turn to follow up with Virginia. It's not robotic in that regard. It keeps the impulse control down.
Right.
Because I might be, I forgot to do that. And then it's 6 months till we talk. It's the best laid plans,
Right.
but we didn't actually plan.
Correct.
And so it gives me guardrails that keeps me from same thing every entrepreneur has, shiny object syndrome, fall off the rails. Those guardrails be like, oh no, these are people who I actually want in my world, that actually we have a lot of alignment when it comes to many things in business. And I want to make sure I take care of them. So I have to remind myself because so many other things come at us. So it's actually intentional relationship rather than haphazard relationship. And I think that's something that people are like, well, that doesn't feel organic. It actually is.
Well, organic. Organic is for vegetables.
Right, but I still have a system to treat my vegetables.
Well, I still have to
weed
plant
the
them and
garden,
do the thing,
and I still
right?
have to till the land.
Yeah.
Organic still has to be tilled.
Yes.
And I think that's we have this weird misnomer about how we should have relationships.
But yes, and take it down to something as simple as our family relationships.
Yeah.
Right? If you're the guy and you actually want your wife to be happy, then you must intentionally create space in the relationship to provide emotionally, spiritually, whatever for who's there. Women are essentially very good at this because we're like, I have to make dinner.
Yeah.
So it's part of what we do every day. But that aspect of relationships.
Just really quickly, hey Meg, honey,
Meg?
is it something that you do every day? Are
Sorry,
you the dinner maker
Meg.
in our house? No.
I am so sorry, Meg. I apologize. I just happen to be.
Virginia does the food, Dallas does the food, but
That's all right. Well, I don't know what to tell you, but my point.
I
okay.
love cooking. That's
All right. Well, then, Meg, you and I have a conversation because you have other responsibilities to take
trust
care
me,
of.
If it weren't, so the joke came up the other day. She started naming off all this stuff I do, and I went, man, what do you do around here? Just as a joke, and it got all the boys laughing. And she went, do you feel I don't do enough? And I was like, honey,
No.
For you, we'd all be savages that just happen to be well-fed. Like that.
Well-fed
We'd be well-fed
savages.
savages. You do literally everything. I make sure there's enough toilet paper for the savages and enough food, and you do everything else.
Savage tamer, you go, girl. My point in all of this is, even when you think about just any sort of intimacy across the board, do you want to just wait till you feel like it, or do you want to do it intentionally?
Right.
Well, I don't feel like it. Well, then if I have to wait till I feel like calling somebody, or I have to wait till I feel like sending a birthday card, or I have to wait till I feel like doing a thing, it never happens.
Right.
And mark my words, that's why personal relationships fail, because we don't decide that I'm going to do it whether I have a feeling or not, because the faithfulness of the intentionality matters.
Yeah.
Well, how do you remember when you're married and you've got a spouse and you have some kids, so you've got 4 major players. In your case, you got your parents, so there's 6 major players that are right in the nuclear,
Vicinity,
right? Hard to forget 6 people.
Yeah.
There are 100 people on your nexus. Now, how are you supposed to remember all 100 of them and keep them top of mind all the time?
Right.
You're not. It's every week. Who are the 6 that are top of mind? Who is that? Who is this week's referral networking inner circle this week? Because I'm not in your face every day.
Right.
I'm not in your space every day. And so that the lack of proximity means that we have to remind ourselves. And that's why we have to schedule it out. And that's why we have to be intentional. And that's why we need processes and systems.
Well, and so one of the things too is, as you're laying this out, it comes in stacks. So I don't go, wait, I need to schedule everybody this week, because then there's overwhelm. But now the people that I meet with every 6 to 8 weeks and every 12 weeks, I actually look forward to seeing them.
Right.
And they know when we meet, I say, hey, I normally do this type of meeting every 10 to 12 weeks. Let's go ahead and look at our calendars now. Right. They're not then reaching out. So it's almost like I'm kind of training them a little bit. But I'm training us to have a proactive relationship. Right.
You're leading.
So there's one question I have, because we're near on time here.
Oh, dang, we're going to have to do this again.
We are. You've got to come back, because we never got into your story and history either. So Taylor, can we bring Virginia back? She's not. Of course. Awesome. You're great.
You make good coffee, girl. Thank you.
Taylor's the best.
She's the best.
She told me today someone else might be in here soon. I'm like, no, they're not. Not with me. So one thing that comes to mind is, you mentioned, like, at the highest levels, ambassador, allies, all of this, you're starting to sell for people.
Right.
The concept could be that it's overwhelming, that I'm going to spend my whole week in referral building and, like, meeting with people and one-to-ones and coffees. And, oh my gosh, when am I actually going to do my job and sell and deliver a client experience? I'm going to be overwhelmed. So talk to us for a minute or two about this concept of overwhelm in referral networking.
First of all, you're not meeting with everybody all the time.
Yep.
So that's number 1.
I know this, but help us
First
out.
of all, we are not meeting with 100 people every week. We're not even meeting with 100 people every month. You're going to have maybe 5 allies that you're going to meet with every 6 weeks. So there's 1 ally a week. Your ambassadors you're going to meet with every other month. There's 12 to 15 of them. So that's 1 ambassador
a week.
Not even.
Roughly.
Yeah, something
Roughly
like that. 1 a week.
Yeah.
And then, your advocates you're meeting with once a quarter, and then you're moving through the associates. So, a 4-hour networking stack every week will do it for you. But here's my mind blown mind shift.
Go for
about business. If you're in business and you're a solopreneur, a small business with just, an assistant, and you're the rainmaker, you're responsible for making the rain, and you're responsible for delivering the product, and then you're responsible for cashing the check. So that's who I'm talking about. You have 4 things that you need to be doing in your business.
Oh, I'm down to 3, but hit me with
4, baby. 1, you need to generate leads.
Yeah.
2, you need to make offers. 3, you need to make sales. And 4, you need to serve clients.
Yep.
Okay? So lead generation is what we're doing when we're meeting with these referral partners. That's our lead generation. Now check this out. How many hours a week do you want to work as an entrepreneur? Well, it ought to be 40, even though we all work 87, but just assuming 40. So when you're starting out, if you're not making 6 figures yet, you want 40% of your time to be focused on lead generation, which means in a 40-hour work week, that means 16 hours a week. So that's about 2 to 3 hours a day minimum doing lead generation activities. And making lead magnets is not a lead generation activity.
No,
Speaking is a lead generation activity. Meeting with referral partners is a lead generation activity. Calling people is a lead who do you know? Who do you know? That's your lead generation activity at that level. Who do you know? Who do you know? Who can I talk to? Who do you know? The next one is making offers, which is, this is what I've got. This is what I've got. Can I show you what I've got? Can I show you what I've got? And you should be spending 30% of your time saying to people, can I show you what I've got? Can I get your opinion on this?
Yeah.
Then from those people, some number of those people are going to say, oh, that looks interesting. I might want that for myself now or in the future. So those are your sales conversations. That's 20% of your time. Are you spending 8 hours a week having sales conversations? Because if you're not, then you should be doing one of the things above it.
Right.
And then finally, delivery should be 10%. So if you're delivering more than 4 hours a week of your service, then your lead gen triangle, that's why you're stuck at 3,000 a month or 5,000 a month, and you're not scaling to 10, 12, 15,000 a month because you're not focused properly. So when you look at it and you say like, okay, I'm not spending 8 hours a week selling. That means if I'm only spending 4 hours a week selling, the 4 hours that's left that you're not selling needs to go to offers or lead gen.
Right.
So you have to figure out where you're broken. Where are you not spending enough of your time doing that in order to get that lead flow?
Yeah.
Now, once you get over that hump, once you get to 100 and a quarter, 150, that's when you start saying like, okay, well, I need to start offloading some of this.
Yep.
And that's where your referral partners come in, because once you've created that nexus, your referral partners generate for you on autopilot, which means you spend less time lead gen and more time in delivery, or hey, more time having fun, whatever that's going to be.
Right.
But your referral partners are your first lever of scale.
Yep.
They're your first level of creating, of outsourcing lead generation.
Yep.
And that's where I think people really go wrong. They think about networking as collecting business cards and selling their product.
Right.
And it's not. It needs to be a lead generation engine for your business. And I think when I heard Jamie Atkinson, I was this time last year, I was in Cancun, and he just said, there are 4 things you need to do for your business.
Yep.
Get leads, make offers, make sales, serve your clients.
Yep.
And that's all you need to be doing. And that was another big mind shift for me, because now I know what to focus on.
Yeah.
Now I know what to do every single day.
Well, and so many of us, we kick the tires of, I need to reorganize my Google Drive. I need to re-strategize this. I need to create a new funnel. And it's like, no, stop. Get out there, make the relationships, make the offers, make the sales, and then make it worthwhile.
Which, by the way, is the creation of the funnel. What most of us think of as creating a funnel is coding a website.
Right.
Now, the fact that we don't need to use PHP or whatever to actually code, we can drag and drop, and that it's gotten so much easier because of the advancements in technology. Make no bones about it. Your funnel is get leads, make offers, make sales, serve your clients.
Yeah.
And you don't need Go High Level or Infusionsoft or Kajabi or anywhere else to do any of that.
Not at this point.
Until you're at the 150, 180, once you've crossed into a solid 6-figure place, then it becomes time to move it over. But guess what, Dallas? Then you're just moving it to a platform, moving it to something that is more leveraged.
Right.
But when you don't have that, that's why everyone struggles on the tech side, because they didn't build the infrastructure first that they can then send to the platform.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's the deal.
All right. We're out of time for this
We're
one.
out of time.
But will you come
Bye,
back?
Dallas. I would love to come back.
Awesome. I'd love to have you back. We're gonna make it soon.
Okay.
We'll get on the schedule to get you back here very soon.
That'd be fun. I would love that.
So again, everybody, we've got Virginia's contact information in the notes below, but you can reach out to her, Virginia Muzquiz, and you'll see the spelling. It sounds like moose skis, but it's Muzquiz in the spelling. But be sure to connect with her on LinkedIn. Also, her Referrals on Demand live at the end of May is coming up here. Very timely. I'm going to be in the room.
Yay!
I highly recommend you be in the room with me. Come to St. Louis, spend a couple of days actually building the thing that's going to triple your business in the next year. I kid you not, it works. I am living proof that it works. So, Virginia, my friend, thank you for coming and hanging out with me today. I so appreciate, and I love you.
I love you too, Dallas. Awesome. This is so much fun. We probably could just get online and do a marathon.
Probably at this point, yeah.
We probably would get Jenny Bellinger in here, and it's over.
Oh my gosh, it'd be we're all going to be in the same room. I think
we are.
At the end of May.
It's gonna be scary.
So I usually end with have a championship day, but I'm going to toss it to Virginia to sign us off with your famous slogan. So.
Well, sure thing. Until we meet again, be remarkable.
Thanks for listening to my dad's podcast. For more tools, go to DallasDailyShow.com. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.